an album called Is a Real Boy. And so they're touring in support of the 20th anniversary of that album. Tuesday night, May 14th. It's going to be Say Anything. I'm not sure who's with them. But they're your headliner at the House of Blues here around the corner. Ticketmaster.com's got the details for you. If you want to buy tickets there, you can get them. If you want to win them, be caller 10. 2 for Say Anything. Good luck. 216-578-1007 or 800-348-1007.
Death is a touchy subject. Unless you're killing all your time with this, then just keep touching.
The Alan Cox Show.
On 100.7 WMMS.
More of like a straight-ahead drum and bass band. And then they got some new people in the band, and it was just at the right time, man, and they were just on fire.
Music video was revolutionary.
Yeah.
It was...
Now, Keith Flint killed himself a few years ago. He was the guy with the piercings and the weird hair, and he was the guy that sang all the songs. He was pretty much the face of that band. So after he hanged himself, they didn't put out any new music, but they are still a band. And what better way to get yourself back into the news and have people start paying attention to whatever it is you might be doing than to say that you're going to change the lyrics to that song? I don't know why. I don't know what precipitated this. Liam Howlett has been the longtime guy behind the band, but most people associated them with Keith Flint. Smack My Bitch Up, even at the time, even in the late 90s, they got all kinds of pushback on that song. They said it's not about domestic violence, and anybody who thinks that it is stupid and blah, 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 as though we're supposed to know what you're thinking. We don't know what you wrote the song about, but it's undeniably a banger. They're touring Europe, going to do a couple of nights in London, and they said that they are changing the lyrics 26 years after it came out. Don't know why.
What are they changing them to?
They're just going to repeat that first line twice. They're going to say, they're going to replace Smack My Bitch Up with Change My Pitch Up again. I seem to remember just within a couple of years of that song coming out, there were people making their own edits. I remember there were some radio stations that were doing that felt uncomfortable with, and so they just...
Share my catch up. So many things you can do with it. It's very...
But why now?
Scheme.
Why now? Like, it's 26 years old. Representatives for the band declined to comment. Well, you put the story out there. I didn't even know you guys were still around, quite frankly. They haven't done new music in 5 or 6 years. It was once voted the most controversial song of all time. Boy, that must be by somebody who hasn't heard a lot of songs, if that's the most controversial song of all time. And they got
that's like the type of person that's like, Drake made it okay to sing about sad things.
Right. There's multi-generational appeal here. But the timing is strange. I don't understand it, and they're not saying anything, so I don't know. But I remember when that song came out, they were taking a lot of heat from their peers but they pushed back at the time. They said, listen, this song is not about that, and even if it was, some people theorized it was a heroin reference. Some people, they weren't sure. And the band was being pretty coy about it other than to push back on the criticism. But if you're gonna push back then, what are you doing now? Other than just letting people know you're still out there. This just tells me they're probably just dropping new music. And they're getting the pump primed. But back in 97, they couldn't have bought that kind of press. You know, Tori Amos and the Beastie Boys and the National Organization for Women. Mind you, the Beastie Boys were just a few years away from having their own problems along those lines. You know, that really early Beastie Boys. Ew, yikes. So they had their own period of atonement, I guess. And there were a couple of chain stores that wouldn't carry the album. That just made people want it more when the Prodigy dropped this. But because it was still massive. But 26 years later, for whatever reason, they're going to release the song and change the lyrics. And not even change them. Just repeat the one line. Not even change them.
I mean, if you're going to a Prodigy concert or to see the Prodigy, and you're not on a copious amount of drugs, then you're doing it wrong anyway. So I imagine the people that are there will be on a good amount of drugs and won't notice.
Yeah, maybe. So the Prodigy, though, they were really credited with taking what had been underground music and making it mainstream. And there were a lot of DJs and artists in kind of that post-grunge era, pre-nu metal, where, electronic music was really having its heyday with kind of a rock vibe to it.
I mean, it paved the way for some amazing soundtracks for The Matrix and Fight Club and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Very thankful for that.
But 26 years later, think about that. So now you have to imagine in 2024, what is a song in 2050 that the lyrics will be changed? Won't that be 26 years hence? Or am I getting my math wrong? It'd be 2050, right? 26 years from now?
Yeah. So 2050, what would they change? Well, I got to first know what songs. What's the Doja Cat song about being a cow?
I'm a cow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to have to change that one.
What? That's how she blew up? It's called Moo.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
she's going to
Moo.
moo.
That's how
I'm
she
a
blew
cow.
up. Yeah.
And it's going to. And then
Bitch, I'm a cow. Bitch, I'm a cow.
Yeah, she's going to not going to be able to say, bitch, I'm a cow.
Is this body shaming?
Well, it's body shaming. It's cow culture.
But that's
cultural appropriation of cows.
Bovine appropriation.
Yeah.
But that's now. I mean, in 26 years, we might not even have to worry about that.
But I'm saying, that's right now you can get away with it. But in 26 years, they're going to say, we have to change this.
Mm-hmm.
We have to.
You know who they'll call out for that, Bill, is the bovine police.
Oh, okay.
Bovine Popo, what's your emergency?
So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Tastes change. And now, again, they would never, this just tells me something. Because the music business is very cynical, obviously. Pop culture is always very strategic. So I just assume that they're getting ready to drop some new music, and they're going to be back in the news cycle. And just
That's
to
probably what
get
it
ahead
is.
of
Yeah,
that,
just
they're
to
like,
get it.
we changed they're like, yeah, but for 26 years, and it was a great song. Why mess with a good thing? We're talking about The Sopranos yesterday because 25 years ago today is when The Sopranos premiered on HBO. It was January 10th, 1999. And I was reading an article with David Chase, who was the guy who had written it and everything. It initially was going to be a comedy. He had written The Sopranos as a comedy show about a gangster who puts his mother, his ailing, aging mother, in a home, and then she tries to kill him for it. And he was kind of talking this through with somebody, and they were like, you should really write this up because that's really funny. And so it was going to be more along those lines. Now, what I'm curious about is because The Sopranos also was famously pitched and turned down by all of the other networks at the time. And I'm glad because I can't imagine how you'd make that show on like Fox or NBC or whatever, falling through the cracks. So when it comes around HBO and they say absolutely because they were looking for kind of like a prestige drama, and it became considered one of the greatest shows of all time. I wonder if it was pitched as a comedy. I wonder at what point he goes, maybe this is I
mean, it's always been kind of a comedy drama. Like, that show has a lot of laughs in it.
Dark comedy.
It's very dark, but still very funny.
Late 90s, I don't know that people were looking for dark comedies yet, if you were like running a television network.
I don't know if they were, but maybe it wasn't how it was pitched, but I think it was how it was written for sure. Because you also have, Pulp Fiction is a dark comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were prevalent back then. They just weren't maybe labeled as such.
David Chase said that when he was growing up, his mom was prone to violent mood swings, and he often felt scared. One time my mom came out of the kitchen and said, I'd like to stab your eye out. And he said, I wasn't worried she was actually going to do it, but that was kind of my mom. And so from that came the whole thing with Tony Soprano and his mom. I remember, and maybe it's I remember a friend of mine from way back. We would joke about her grandmother who had come over from Italy, still had a very thick accent. And she was constantly yelling that she was going to kill somebody. She's like, I'm going to kill you. You know, she'd be chasing people around with knives.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where that comes from. But so I only mention this because HBO has got this Sopranos collection to celebrate the show premiering a quarter century ago today. And so they have this. I haven't even looked at it. I know it's up there, but it's like 5 hours of behind-the-scenes stuff, and it's got a ton of deleted scenes. They set up that TikTok account Bill was talking about yesterday where they condense the episodes down to 25 seconds just to whet your whistle, as it were. I got money here for you. It's $1,000, a chance for you to grab some cash from the Buzzard bookie. So listen up and good luck.
This is your chance to bet with the Buzzard bookie and win $1,000 now. Enter this nationwide keyword at WMMS.com. Credit. That's credit. Enter it now at WMMS.com.
Alan, you smack my bitch up in the new season of Fargo. That's true. Really good season. You watching the Fargo?
No, I've never watched Fargo.
Oh, you've never watched it?
No.
New season with John Hamm. He makes a good villain.
I'll check it out at some point.
Alan, I thought they were saying take my picture.
Take my picture. I thought they could change it too.
They could. Change my pitch up. Take my picture. I'm a rock star. All right. I'll let Poundcake know that chefs notice the difference of freshly ground pepper. Ooh, all right. It's going back a ways, but there you go.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I stand corrected.
But you
chef.
no, he said that if you can recognize it, you didn't say it's unrecognizable.
He said
but
you're a snob.
You're a snob, yeah.
Yeah.
Chefs are generally.
Chefs are culinary snobs.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to leave us messages, the after hours line's there for you. For voicemails, you can drop messages on the iHeartRadio app, too, if you listen there. 216-986-8903.
Hey, gang. Just wanted to share some of my favorite examples from the past week or so of when Alan cannot consider that some people might have different perspectives than him. Last week, it was that comedians who speak up about other comedians stealing their jokes is lame. Thank you, Bill, for kind of talking some sense into him on that one. And then yesterday, it was if you want to protect your cell phone screen so that other people cannot read your cell phone, you're a psycho. Love the examples. Look forward to the next ones. Hate the show.
Homie's taking notes. Did you talk sense into me? I mean, that's just my opinion on things. It's not that I can't.
Well, I talk sense into you, so
it's not that I
let's
can't
leave
see
it at
other
that.
people's perspectives. I just don't always agree with. I think if you're complaining about somebody stealing a joke, I think that's lame. That's just my opinion. That's just me.
But why? Why is it lame?
Because you're going to keep writing new jokes.
Not if you're Cat Williams. You got one
but
joke
I'm not
that you
Cat
keep
Williams.
You keep repackaging as the same joke.
But
you
every
should get
other
mad at yourself, really. But
every other comic is not Cat Williams.
No, but if
because my point,
if someone steals something from you, I think it's absolutely okay to be upset and complain about it.
Well, those are two different things. Would you be upset? Absolutely. Complaining about it does nothing because the audience doesn't care. They don't care.
Everybody cared about that.
About what?
The Cat Williams thing was huge because of that.
Because of what?
Because him complaining about people stealing his jokes.
He talked about 4,000 things in
right,
that rant.
but that was like the first thing that people glommed onto.
If somebody says, that guy stole my joke. You know, I heard a joke in the new Chappelle special that I did in my first 6 months of doing stand-up. Because there's a lot of the same ideas coming around.
Mm-hmm.
It was like practically verbatim. I'm not complaining that Dave Chappelle stole my joke.
Call him out. Call him out. Dave Chappelle, you stole Alan's joke.
Because if somebody publicly says that person stole my joke, what? Okay, then what? You're going to write new material. There's always new jokes to be written and performed. So you're going to do new stuff. Have the joke. And the audience doesn't care. They don't care who did. Carlos Mencia stole everyone's jokes. Audience doesn't care.
They absolutely cared.
They're like,
he
they
doesn't.
don't.
He was doing theaters and massive tours
because he had
and
a
had
TV show
and had television deals. And then he got called out for being a joke thief, and people stopped showing up.
Because he's not funny, not because he's not a joke thief.
People stopped going because they're like, oh, this guy's stealing material.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Absolutely.
No way.
Why do you think everything fell apart for him?
You think Joe, because they canceled his show.
Yeah, but people have canceled shows that are still doing well.
Because they're funny.
Right.
Carlos
and the only reason
Mencia,
he was getting people to come out and see him is because he was using funnier people's jokes. Once people were onto him and he had to rely on his own material, it all fell apart.
Okay. I'll give you that. But what I'm saying is that's not John Q. Public, who's buying a ticket to a show. It's not like, well, I'm not going to go see that guy because he stole this guy's joke.
That's the old way of thinking.
I don't think so.
I think it is.
People don't care.
People do care. We saw it with Carlos Mencia.
They want to laugh.
They want to laugh, but they still don't want to go see somebody. If they know that someone's stealing material, especially when they have these allegiances now because of podcasts and the parasocial relationships they have with comedians, it matters to people. Maybe not everybody, but most people, I think, if they hear that, they go, I don't want to support that guy.
All I remember is that everybody was screaming and crying. So many people accused Dane Cook of stealing jokes. Didn't seem to hurt him at all.
It absolutely hurt him. What are you talking about?
How did it hurt him?
He used to be doing arenas.
But he didn't stop doing arenas.
Yes, he did.
No, he didn't stop doing them because people were like, well, I don't know about this. Stop doing them because he stopped going out. He made a ton of money.
You don't think Dane Cook would love to be out doing arenas again?
Dane Cook was doing arenas again as of last year.
He wasn't doing arenas last year.
Just because he didn't come here. Yeah, he was.
Where?
He was booking the venues and filling them.
Where? Like, I know he came, last time he came to Cleveland, he did do Romo Fee Hill at one point. Last time he was here, he was at MGM. That's a huge step down.
But you also know that over time, tastes change too. Doesn't make what I'm saying is.
But I'm saying people do pay attention to that more than you're giving them credit. And that is something that, and even if it's not because people don't want it still sticks with that comedian. That stink is on Dane Cook forever now.
That he's a joke thief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he was called out at a very high level by Louis C.K. about it.
I guess my thought is if you're stealing jokes, it's because you're not able to write good ones yourself. So the system is going to take care of you. I mean, the comedic ecosystem is going to wash you out. But if you're good and somebody steals a joke of yours, you're going to write more jokes.
Well, they know that, but it doesn't mean that you don't want to call someone out for, like, Louis C.K. is still doing, he was on he got shut down for a different reason, but he's back for the most part.
Why would he do?
See me after the show. But it was never, he called Dane out.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
And nobody was like, oh, he's going to keep doing that joke. They knew he's going to write more jokes, but it still tainted people's view of Dane and kind of raised people's view of Louis.
I guess my thought is if you hear somebody do a joke that you like and you find out it's stolen, you don't really care.
I think you're wrong on that.
But you liked the joke.
Right, you liked the joke, but you go, oh, but I don't like that it was stolen.
Well, no, you don't like it. You want somebody to be doing their own original material, but if you like the joke, there's always somebody complaining that somebody else took their joke. And at the end of the day, the person who cares the most is the person who wrote the joke.
Right. So
the
why
audience
wouldn't
is
they?
like, eh.
But
I get being pissed off about it. I understand that.
And I'm telling you, because if that person has loyal fans and they see that somebody stole their joke, it's going to it labels them as a joke thief. And if they don't address it and they don't say, hey, this is parallel thought, whatever they have to do to defend it, but it's something that you don't want on you as a comedian.
Yeah.
And I think because of how much people put into who they like. I mean, comedy taste is something that's very personal to each and every person. So if you say, I like Louis C.K. and I don't like Dane Cook, and I don't like that he stole that joke, or you go, oh, I like Dane Cook, but he stole that joke from Louis C.K., well, now I got to go see what Louis C.K.'s doing. And then you become more of a fan of Louis C.K. than you do of Dane Cook.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I guess
I'm
my
talking
thought.
some sense into you again.
You sure are. That guy's going to call back. I guess my thought is just still that there's a difference between the people who write the material and the people who consume it. And obviously, if you're writing it, you're way more invested in it than the people who are sitting down and hearing you perform it.
I mean, there are people in the chat that are on your side. Here's a comment. It's like eating at a restaurant. I appreciate a great meal. I couldn't care less about who came up with the recipe and offered it first. And there are people that have that mindset, but then there's other people that say, as a comedy fan, I'm on Bill's side, where they do care about the authenticity of the humor.
Authenticality.
Yeah, authenticality.
The raw authenticality of it.